Hi, my name is Gayan. I am from EDOTCO. We are Malaysia-based tower company. We own and operate 60,000 towers in 8 Asian markets, 5 in Southeast Asia and 3 in South Asia. We process about 170 million customers, 36 cellular customers out there. So that's pretty much who I am. So back to what I was mentioning, the average screen time today is 6 hours and 58 minutes. Which means that we successfully, as a human and mankind in this planet, we look at our screen more than we sleep. We sleep only 6.5 hours. In the digital stacks of digital infra players on the top, telecom operators in the middle, and telecom tower companies, fiber companies, data centers, and the world. So you have 1,500 exabyte manufactured and sold on the top. And then you have 800 operators who are spectrum-based, manufacturing, selling that back to them. And then we have us. We have 5 million telecom towers out there. Now, the question I want to ask, and I saw most of the presentation yesterday and day before, hologram, next generation, metaverse, and stuff like that. It's more to do with the how part. I think we need to ask a question, who are we building this network? I think how fast it's going to be built and who are going to be built as well. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Bit of background of who we are. We are the largest telecom infrastructure company based out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We manage about 177 cellular customers. In our market, there are 900 million people. 80% of the 900 million people are within 3 to 5 kilometers of our tower. So that's the reach we are in. And we also process roughly about 20 exabytes in our telecom tower network. The globally 1,500 exabyte, our 900 population carry about 100 exabyte. So I'm carrying 20 out of 100 exabytes. So that's the sheer scale we are managing. We do tower. We own towers, small cells, in-building solution, energy, field operation, all in. Simply put, cost to manufacture a GB, half of that is us. That's how we are. And the 5 markets we are in Southeast Asia. We are into Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. We are into Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and the world. And then we are 6th largest in the world in terms of count. Now I want to talk to you more about what's the next generation we are looking at. If you're looking at our 8 markets, that's on the top. We have about close to 1 billion people out there. And the number going to be the same, pretty much. But I want to take your attention to 2 aspects. The percentage of digital economy is about 16% now, compared to perhaps other markets. That number going to be 2 times over the next 10 years. But then the most important aspect is that the Gen Alpha and Gen Z, this is where those who born after 1996 and 2010, if you don't know these people, they are your children, they are cousins, and these are the children you gave your phone when they were crying. That generation are going to be the consumers who are going to build the network going forward. Taking that into consideration, we are looking at 15 GB a customer a month now, on average in our 8 market, going to be double over the next 5 years, triple over the next 10 years. That translates to 75,000 more towers over the next 5 years and 50,000 more towers 5 years afterwards. That's the sheer scale we are looking at. Now, I want to break this down to whom we are going to build this network. Take your attention to the last 2 columns, which is the Gen Zs, 96 onwards. These are the generation who have a short attention span up to about 7 seconds. These are the ones who crawl TikTok, Instagram faster. These are the generation who build your GB consumption from backwards about 2 GB to 15 GB over the last 4 years. They are the digital citizens. These are the people who are ubiquitously connected. These are the people who want to be socially responsible, and their screen time is about 4 to 6 hours a day. Now, that's not enough. Gen Alpha is my children generation, those who were born after 2010. These are the children of millennials. And these are the people who are born with the phone in their hand. They are going to have mathematics as their key component going forward. And that's the generation, if we were to build a metaverse, 3D internet, the last 2 columns are the one who are going to consume large part of that. So if you break this down, globally by 2030, roughly about 6 billion out of 10 billion people, about 60% of people are in these 2 categories, A. B, 80% of the total data traffic will be consumed by them. That's number two. Then you break it down into number of data consumption. That's 13 GB a customer a month, going to be 240. It's not they are consuming more data. It's their connected devices going to consume more data. Now, you command various apps. There'll be apps talking to each other. At that era, on their command, there'll be sensors, what you wear in your clothes, what you wear in your glasses, and these are the ones going to add into per capita data consumption. The speed requirement is not 100 Gbps, it's 1000 Gbps is the requirement for them, and the 10 millisecond one. So I think we need to narrow down the business proposition. Who are we building this metaverse ready? Yeah. Now, going forward, so who is going to finance this? I would bring this down to a business proposition as a business case. When the technician is going to leave this room, we still have to figure out who's going to fund the triple the capacity. Who's going to build the data centers, who's going to build fiber and the tower and the IP behind that. So today we have this camel hump theory in Asia. This is where the post-COVID gold rush, about 13 to 15 billion worth of money has came into Singapore, Hong Kong, and deployed them in the Southeast Asian markets. Now, we are entering into a phase where there is a high inflation, high interest rate, cost of capital going up, and so forth. The prices are going down. I, as a digital infrastructure party who is canvassing investment into the market, I am looking for what to look forward for next. That is the metaverse, the 3D internet, fueled by the Gen Zs. So I am banking on all of you all in this room. If we can get this right, that 4 billion people, if they can embrace over the next 7 years' time to the metaverse world, that era, and that's the network we are going to build. And that's something we can look forward to bring our valuation up, right? Now, what does that mean to us? Like, what does it require from the network? So there are 800 operators out there, and I manage about 36 of them in 8 Asian markets. You cannot buy hardware-defined network at $30,000 US at a $2 cost per GB. It won't work like that. It has to go Open RAN, disaggregated, air fiber, and all that stuff. Over and above, network also need to be dynamic little bit. Currently, the network is static, people are going around that. Going forward, network nodes will have to be breathe out and breathe in the peak hour, which means that the drones, backpacks, cars also be part of the network. And that's where we have to build that standard as we go forward. So the spectrum is moving from low to high, mid to high. In all our markets, in Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia, we are deploying our spectrum in 2600, 2300, 2500. 5G is happening now. And that's not enough. I think we need to develop a dynamic layer as we go forward. So what to look forward to? And I was so excited to see the Ray-Ban glasses. If we can get this right into the cloud, rather than the Ray-Ban connect to your phone into the cloud, and that will be a game changer, and that will be a version where Gen Zs and Gen Alpha are going to embrace. If we hit that into 1 billion customers in Asian markets, that's a game changer for us. Yeah. So for my fellow panelists coming after, I'm going to give a couple of inputs. So what are those key changes going to take place? Maybe potentially you can take these as well. So data is growing. I'm just going to show you all the data consumption happening in our 8 markets. This is pre-COVID, post-COVID, it's actually doubled. I'm not complaining. More data, more tower is required. Capacity is function of 3 things: more spectrum, more antennas in the same tower, or more towers. We have done with our spectrum, more antennas, and now only left with the more towers. Over the last 2 years and 3 years, we have doubled our capacity. So I'm not complaining about that. Question is the middle layer of the 800 operators, can they afford to pay for it? So question number 1. While we are looking at metaverse, we still have underconnected and unconnected. In Asia, there are still about 204 million people not having 4G connectivity. They have 2G or no G, but they don't have 4G data connectivity. That's 204 million people out there. And also we have 3.3 billion people doesn't have 5G yet. So that need to be fixed out. The underconnected, you do have a coverage, but don't have an 8 Mbps speed. So in our world, we call it underconnected or a dark spot. There are 660 million people. At any given point in time, don't have that basic 8 Mbps out there. And our millisecond factors are anything between 20 to 30 numbers, nowhere near the standards what you require. Also, we are sunsetting 3G. and we are deploying 5G in all our markets. It's not a bigger scale. Over the next 3 to 5 years' time, we'll be probably getting to 80% coverage. My home country, Malaysia, we are getting into 80% 5G coverage by end of this year. We call it ourselves golden digital decade, and 5G going to be a key principle behind that. And then you also have Metaverse-ready networks being built. The last item I want to cover is these dark spots. This is Johor Bahru, Kuala Lumpur, and the world. And in these 8 markets, we have 1.5 million dark spots, which means 500 meter by 500 meter doesn't have minimum 8 Mbps. So any Metaverse-ready product cannot be functioning in this area. This is where when you come to school, go to work, go back home, on the road, have dark spots. So that need to be fixed. Network need to be dynamic and disaggregated. And finally, you also have money out there. There are about 13 to 15 billion worth of money has already come into Asia, standing out there looking for a home for their investment, namely tower, small cell, fiber, and data center, and edge computing. So good news and opportunity out there. So with that, I'm going to summarize this conclusion. Yes, Gen Z and Gen Alpha going to be the key catalyst going forward for our Metaverse-ready networks. We are going to be great doing that businesses out there. That's the opportunity for us. I don't think this number 3 is a big issue. Technicians, the smart people in the world will solve this open RAN as we go forward, disaggregate, bring the cost per GB down. But I would narrow this down to one item and one item only. Who's going to finance it? Who's going to build this 3x of capacity, where the capital come from, and where the business case are. So in conclusion, I'm going to leave one thought with you, which is, it's not about how part, it's about whom we are building, and define the end by 2030, work backward. Then you can find your answers. You build the network, you make the end customer requirement, network will come afterwards. It's not the other way around. Thank you very much.